Welcome to today's video where I'm going to be finally ranking the top 10 eyeshadow palettes that I tried in 2023. This was so difficult. A lot of these palettes are pretty interchangeable and my thoughts on their ranking changes from day to day and maybe even hourly, to be honest. But I tried my best and I picked out the 10 most standout palettes. So let's get right into it. So in 10th place is the Cozy Cabin palette from Simply Posh Cosmetics, and I just feel like this is for sure a very cozy like color story. I very much enjoyed my time with this palette. The shimmers are some of the most beautiful sparkly duochrome shimmers, and also I love that this palette is $45 plus a coupon code, so much more on the affordable side in terms of getting really great quality mattes and shimmers and some specialty shimmers as well. So I'm just gonna swatch a couple of the shades. Lights is such a stunning shade. I mean, they're all really beautiful and sparkly in this palette, and this palette they did make sure to fix the hard panning issue, and here they are up close. I mean, look at that shine. I love this palette so much, and I've been really enjoying their themes and definitely very excited to see what they do for 2024. In 9th place is the Sickly Sweet palette from Blend Money Cosmetics. This one really stands out to me because there's some really interesting tones of pastels as well as deeper mattes in here that I feel like really just fit into this palette overall. This is also the Better Shimmer formula from Blend Money. So these are very beautiful, ultra soft and sparkly kind of shimmer shadows. And here they are a little bit closer up. I mean, they're so shiny, and I feel like they really fit into this color story. I think they pair really nicely with the different mattes in here. And the formula, of course, absolutely spectacular. Love Blend Money matte formula, and also love the creativity behind the theme. I mean, Sickly Sweet is such a cute little theme. In 8th place is another pastel palette, let me tell you, and that is not even the last pastel palette in the ranking. I really did enjoy a lot of really great pastels that launched this year. I feel like we've already seen, quite a few different pastel palettes launch previously, but I just feel like the formulas have really gotten so much better. And this is the Lands of Enchantment palette from Ensley Cosmetics, and I mean, look at it. Again, we have some really beautiful lighter, mid-tone, and deeper mattes, of course. And then the shimmers in here just really truly shine, sparkle. There's a couple of holographic shadows in here. There's some iridescent shadows in here, and that is why this one ranks higher than the Sickly Sweet palette. There's a couple of similar shades between the two, but I really enjoy them for what they are, like separately as their own entities. And these shimmers in here, I mean, I need to show you a couple of them. They're so stunning. Moon Magic has got to be one of the most shifty and holographic shadows. So these are just spectacular. Look at that. Look at this shade right here. So stunning. These bring me so much joy to use. Now, while I don't use pastel palettes all the time, these are really truly standouts that just have been very heavy on the top of my mind and I'm wanting to reach for them, whether that is for the pastels or for the shimmers or the deeper mattes. So under the 7th palette, yes, it's another predominantly pastel palette. This one is from Lethal Cosmetics. I don't remember the name of this one, and they don't print them on the palettes anymore, so I'll put it up on the screen. But this one is so stunning, and when I first got it, I feel like I truly didn't understand just how much I would fall in love with this palette. I love that there's two deepening up shades, and then there's also like a more neutral shade. There's a really neon bright shade, and then these two pastels, and the shimmers in here are truly the best of the best from Lethal Cosmetics that I have seen. I mean, these are just really standout shades, and I love that they're in here because I do think that they fit in here so well. I lowered the light a little bit so you can see them better, but these are so beautiful, so dimensional. Well, they are not sparkly, they don't have holographic effect to them. They are just so smooth on the lid and they look absolutely stunning, and I really appreciate that about them. Together with the color story, I feel like this is just a chef's kiss kind of pastel color story, a little bit smaller and a little bit more condensed. In 6th place is the Harvest Moon palette from Ensley Cosmetics. This is one of the brands that I tried for the first time in 2023, and I am so glad I did. Look at this color story, the theme and everything, so beautiful. This palette is expensive, but there is quite a few really special, beautiful shades, from multi-chromes to holographic shadows as well, and I love the assortment of the mattes down here. Though my only critique of this palette is I feel like it's missing like one really deep matte, and then one a little bit lighter kind of matte, but overall I feel like these match match so great with the rest of the color story. And like I said, the shimmers in here are just absolutely beautiful. There's a couple of different textures in here. I have a dedicated video with comparisons on this palette, and this palette really just swept me off my feet. So I'm just going to swatch a couple of the shades again because these are so stunning. And then of course this beautiful vibrant orange shade, Tombstone. Look at how much you can see the hollow effect this way. And then this beautiful multi-chrome, and then this shade is just so vibrant. I love it so much. In 5th place is the Smoky Glam palette from Bebar. This is another brand that I tried for the first time this year. Their very first palette that I tried actually was the Pastel Garden palette that they launched in the summertime, and I enjoyed that palette so much. They have some really beautiful shimmers. They have some gorgeous loose shadows as well. And the reason this one made it not the pastel is one, because I just had to keep it down a little bit. With the pastels, I already had 3 pastels in the ranking, but that one definitely would have made top 20 if I was doing a 20 palette ranking video. So this is a beautiful, just everything you need in terms of your neutral shades is right here in this palette. It is a rather large palette, and I know that is not for everyone. Personally, I don't mind it. Could it have been maybe like one less row? Yes, definitely, especially because these 2 black mattes are a little bit similar, and I mentioned that in my review on this palette. But the shimmers are so beautiful, and I love that they're in here. You have some a little bit more exciting kind of duochrome shimmers in here, like Imagine and Playful, and then you have some also just kind of more standard but still really beautiful and metallic shimmers that are just a bit more nuanced kind of neutrals to match with the matte. So you can use these kind of like in sections again, or you can mix and match, and I just love the assortment of these shades. I feel like if you don't have any really neutral palettes, or you want a neutral palette that has also some special shimmers in here, then I definitely think this is the one. So that's why this one is in 5th place. And then in 4th place is also a Bebar palette. It is the Basic Witch palette. Now this one I feel like everyone's been talking about. I love the theming as well. Color story is just beautiful, 10 out of 10. I love purples. I love that we have some deeper mattes, some lighter mattes. The shimmers in here are again so beautiful. I'm just going to swatch again a couple of these shades. They really were on a roll this year. I just feel like they kept getting better and better and better. I also love that this palette is a little bit more of a focused color story, so not as quite as large as the Smoky Glam or the Pastel Garden. And I mean, look at these shimmers, so special, especially with the mattes. You can get so many different kinds of looks just layering these over the mattes, and I love this palette. Definitely one of those palettes that just comes to mind when I want to do an eye look for the day. In 3rd place is the Unearthly Cosmetics Fall Magic palette. I did purchase this one myself, and this is a remastered version of the Fall Magic palette from last year, and it is a little bit more of a condensed color story compared to that one. I believe there was a few more shades in that one. So there's a row of mattes and then a row of shimmers, and I love that there are some pinky shades in here. I just think it makes it a very unique fall palette, and I love the assortment of the mattes. I think it's a really nice variety and also depth. And these shimmers are just absolutely so spectacular. They're so beautiful. They definitely did some sort of new formulation. With this palette, there's absolutely no hard panning or anything going on. These feel like high-end eyeshadows, or what I would expect high-end eyeshadows to feel like. I mean, I raved about them in my video because they are so shiny and sparkly and very special. Here they are a little more up close. Look at the shifts, and just, I mean, you can see these look so piecey and beautiful, a little bit more topper-like. I think this is such a great palette from Unearthly. In 2nd place is the Jewels and Gem palette from Odins Ey, and I did do a dedicated video on this one, and I just love this color story. I mean, it is such a unique and interesting color story with the different tones in here, especially like this one, I mean, all of them really, all the mattes. I love the mattes in here. I love that there's 2 deepening up shades. I love that there's an olive tone here, but also super taupey shade here, and the shimmers in here are so beautiful. We've got 2 topper-like shadows, a darker kind of charcoal shimmer shadow, and then also this new shimmer that I thought was a new formula, and I would love to see more of these. I mean, this is just like totally a whole nother level. It feels pretty different from their usual shimmers, so I really hope to see more like this. And I just love this color story. This is a great kind of everyday palette for me for sure. And here are the shimmers. Look at that shine, that glisten. So beautiful, especially this one. Like, there's just something different about this one, and I have yet to see another shimmer shadow like this. I think these shades just correspond really well with the mattes as well. So that's why this one is in second place. I think the color story is unique, the shimmers are beautiful, the mattes are beautiful. They blend really nicely, they work really well together. And while this is a little bit more of a neutral but still grungy color story, I think the reason this is number 2 is because I do tend to just gravitate more towards these kinds of shades, especially when I'm going into the office, I'm going in for work, for no other particular reason. That is just, I want something easy to use in the morning when I wake up, 6 a.m. I just want to put on makeup. And don't get me wrong, I still love colorful eyeshadow palettes and I love playing with color, but I do think from day to day, I do just prefer these kinds of tones. So in first place is the Unearthly Cosmetics Sorcerer's Smoke palette. Now I did post recently about this palette on my Instagram and I said this is definitely in my top 10 eyeshadow palettes of 2023. And when I was going through the ranking of these, I really just felt like this one is top of mind always for me. Always when I'm doing makeup, let me just go and let me just pull out the Sorcerer's Smoke palette from my drawer. Let me just use it. I know it's going to perform beautifully. I love the color story. I love the shimmers. I love everything about it. And the packaging is really nice. I love the font and everything. I did purchase this one myself. It is so special. It gives me grunge with a little bit of neutrality in it as well. The shimmers, again, same formula as a Fall Magic palette. Truly love this shimmer formula. I really hope that future palettes from Unearthly have this shimmer formula because I want it. There is one deepening up shade, but I think this one just goes so well with any of these shades. I can throw something in the crease. And then this one on the outer corner, I can do an eyeshadow wing with this one. And I just feel like it pairs great with all these shades. I definitely think Nightshade is probably the least used shade in here. Sorceress, Transfixed, and Vervin. Oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. Here they are a little bit more up close. Do you just see how exquisite these are? How glistening, sparkly. They're just got a little bit of an extra twinkle in them. And I love reaching for these shimmer shades. This palette is just the ideal grungy, everyday kind of palette for me. And it was really hard between Jewels and Gem and this palette because I do think that some days I would maybe say Jewels and Gem is number 1. But all in all, like I love me some grungy green shadows and then also a little bit of neutrals. And I think we really get the neutrality from the shimmers. And I especially love that so much. And the predominantly top row like, which is also my preference, and I think just makes these shades so much more versatile with the mattes. And what's funny about this palette and the Fall Magic palette is I hesitated a lot purchasing these palettes because they are pretty expensive, but I was really curious about them. I love the theming, I love the color story, and when I received them, the moment I took a look at these shimmers, I knew immediately, zero regrets. I 100% think this is worth it. Both of the palettes were worth it for me. So there you have it. Here's my number 1 eyeshadow palette from 2023. And I do have an honorable mention. It is the newest Ensley Rain palette, Cold Moon. And I did just get this one about a week and a half ago. So I haven't had it for that long. But this one is definitely such a standout for me because I love the mattes in here. I love that there's some special shimmers. I love the layout of everything. I love that we have 2 deepening up shades and some beautiful grungy kind of transition shades in between. There's some holographic shadows. There's some really special beautiful shades. I have a dedicated video on this one. I did comparisons, I did detailed swatches, you name it. I love this palette. I can see myself reaching for this one a lot because it does have lots of neutral opportunities in here and it has the shine and sparkle and shift that I look for, especially when paired with neutral shadows, and there's plenty to choose from in between some more top row like shades as well as some more standard kind of shimmer shades that don't have a shift. So I didn't want to mention this one because I also didn't want to include it in next year's ranking. And that's everything for this video. Let me know in the comments below if you were surprised by my number 1 palette. What did you think it was going to be? What is your number 1 eyeshadow palette, whether it's new from 2023 or it has launched previously? I would love to know your thoughts, and I do have dedicated videos on all of these palettes in case you're interested. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time.